Well, you know what time it is. It's 8 o'clock. It's Monday night. It's time for TV Talk here on Nerd Initiative. You know what that means? Play the intro. What a handsome young man on there, Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Off the Cuff Tom, Nerd Initiative's Pop Culture Connoisseur. And tonight we're talking Doctor Who, like we've been, because, it ain't broke, don't fix it. So even though things are a little wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey, I got started a minute late, but you know what? It happens because technical difficulties, because that's what we do here. Everything's live. But speaking of being live, I've been fortunate enough over the past few weeks to have people join me. I've had Mickey last week. I had Mickey 2 weeks ago, excuse me. I had Matt last week. And if we're going to have one folks from Hop Geeks, then we got to have the dynamic duo, the other half of Hop Geek News. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not been on Nerd Initiative, you've not been fortunate enough to be on an episode of Turn a Page or myself, who just happened to be on their show on Hop Geeks News that just dropped today, make sure you go and check them out. I want to introduce a wonderful woman who absolutely loves her science fiction, her fantasy, and I think she likes this guy named James Howlett, some dude, guy named Logan. He's the best at what he does for something. So, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Lauren from Hop Geek News.
Thank you for having me. That was a hell of an introduction. You really should come to our introduction every week on Hop Geek News. I'm terrible at introducing myself, and you nail it every time. And yes, I do love this guy right here named James Howlett. Sometimes goes by Logan. He's the best at what he does. And what he does best is actually not as mean as he thinks it is. It is still pretty nice. Mm-hmm. But we are here to talk Doctor Who, so I'm ready to talk some Who.
That's right. We are here talking Doctor Who tonight. We're talking about the Legend of the Ruby Sunday. So just so everybody knows, we're going to get this real straight off the cuff. When it came to picking the episodes for this whole season, for everybody who's going to be on to be my companions for this whole endeavor, I asked them to not look at the synopsises or anything. They literally picked just based on names. And I think Lauren had hit it out of the park. Quite honestly. Sorry, really? Mickey. Sorry, Matt. I think you picked the best episode so far to hang out with.
See, when I watched Rogue has been my favorite one so far. So when Matt got Rogue, I was actually a little bit jealous. But I definitely have some opinions on this. And this definitely has a lot of Who lore in it.
That's what we're doing. And I was so fortunate enough to be on your guys' show and really feel your guys' format. So we're stealing a little bit from them tonight, folks. And at the end, Lauren's going to give some unbelievable info drop, because I sat there the other night recording with them and went, why don't I do that?
Because it's a lot of homework. Well, it started because we started as a beer podcast, so I would do beer school, and then it turned into geek school. So it just kind of took on a life of its own. But it's been great, doing all this research on all these different beer topics and pop culture topics and geek topics. I've learned so much useless information. Mm-hmm. I'm almost ready for some Jeopardy or something. Assuming they only talk about beer and geek culture, then I'll win.
Well, there is, believe it or not, because, me being the pop culture connoisseur, as there are, there was a TV show about a decade ago hosted by the guy who went on to play Shazam, Zach Levy, called Geeks Who Drink. It is a franchise trivia company that goes around to bars, and they do geek trivia.
I played the trivia in Texas.
Yeah, I actually had it at one of my old bars I worked at. So
I did not know Flynn Rider himself was part of that, but I was actually at a brewery in Austin and came across it, and we played some trivia.
Yep, they did do a televised version of it for a while. He was the host.
Oh, who knows? See, learning something new.
That's what I do. So speaking of, we are going to be talking some Doctor Who tonight. This is going to be fantastic. I cannot wait to share this all with you folks. So let's get started. Okay, now first and foremost, we are talking spoilers. So again, I apologize. It's going to be a little wibbly-wobbly and timey-wimey. All right, we're just going to throw up the pictures here. And first things first, I was very surprised. The Doctor comes rolling right into Unit. And trust me, I got a gripe about that. And he's just ready to go. Everybody, gold permission, this, that, and the other thing. And here we go. We've got the Doctor talking with everybody here, trying to figure out who this woman is. Now, that woman being the same woman that we saw in the ambulance, in the painting, not the next door neighbor. Who else was she? She was
She was
the
like,
hiker.
yeah, and she was also in the Sir Isaac Newton one, the Mavity one. She's like, because so we saw her before, like we saw her with the last Doctor with David Tennant, and
Really? I see. I missed something. That's why we
I
had
missed
Lauren to do
that.
the homework.
Exactly. I did my homework on that because I didn't remember. Because honestly, for me, she looks very different in every cameo. I didn't realize the hiker was the same lady as the ambulance, and they were
Hmm.
very clear on her face both times. So yeah, I totally missed that. But yeah, she's been in all of them this season.
And then the best part is that he even went and did a little extra homework on his own and found her as this particular person on this planet, this on this one, so on and so forth. And it was just like, okay, we got something going on here. Um, let's go. Here we go. Everybody, there you go. Everybody in their spaces and places. And we've got our, so we've got some new cast members here in unit. So going back, we have the uncomparable Catherine Lethbridge Stewart.
I love her.
I absolutely do. And just because I used to watch old Who and I completely respected her dad, every single time I say Catherine Lethbridge Stewart, I just have to throw this salute up for her. Rose is there. Donna's daughter. She was the nepo hire. Just saying.
Yeah, where's Donna?
Yeah,
I thought she got a job there too.
she did. How much
She
did she
must
get
be
paid?
on a mission.
Exactly. And then we have a new chief science officer. We're also introduced to the web and archive uh, officer as well. I mean, I absolutely love that whole command center that they have up there. Believe it or not, and I'm going to say it, I'm going to do it. It actually reminds me of a very particular series of Super Sentai. I'm not even going to say Power Rangers, where it's kind of set up the exact same way. I mean, we did get the Power Ranger contingent of it, but if anybody ever gets a chance to go back and watch Go Busters, which became Power Rangers Beast Morphers, highly recommend it. It's the first season where they didn't wear spandex; it was leather.
Mm.
Things you know. So as that goes on, we've learned about all these fantastic things, and not only are they trying to figure out who this woman is, but they're also trying to figure out the whole history with Ruby itself. Um, but everybody says that, oh well, she's what's her name, who's about to drop some knowledge on everybody.
Oh yeah, his daughter
Hmm.
or granddaughter.
Well, we find out that the woman who he keeps seeing is Susan Triad, and he figures out, he throws the words, plays around with it, get a little anagramical. There's a new
He
word for you,
loves
ladies and
his
gentlemen.
anagrams.
Loves his anagrams, time and relative dimension and space, my favorite. Speaking of which, you play around with Susan Triad and you get
Susan. I can't remember what the second. Oh, TARDIS. Sorry.
mm-hmm. And then we find out this woman's name is Susan. Now, let's be honest. How many times have we heard Susan probably in the past 60 some odd years on Doctor Who?
I think like twice, if that. Like
Yep.
honestly, I was really
What's the
happy
season
when they
one?
mentioned her at the beginning of the season because I one of the things I love about this season in general, including the first 3 with Tennant, is they're finally making this feel like one long show. Like the Doctor is one person because so often you feel like they're not. And so I do love that and I don't think they're done with Susan. I think that this Susan thing is still foreshadowing, even if it is not the granddaughter.
I'm going to agree to disagree, but we got a whole slide for that down the road.
Okay.
But Susan, and that one threw me for a loop. Now, for those of you who remember, earlier this season alone, we're not going to talk about anything else prior to this season. When they did the Abbey Road episode, the doctor said, "Oh yeah, and my granddaughter just lives, about 2 miles over there." And I'll be honest, I had a moment. I was shook
Mm-hmm.
because you don't hear about Susan ever outside of the first Doctor, out of William Hartnell's, and I just couldn't believe it. And then again, we get Susan, and I'm not kidding. My wife and I, we got an L-shaped couch, right? And we get where the little L connects. We put pillows there, so we're literally back to back to each other. I honestly reached down and grabbed her hand like, ah! And just like, get off me, too hot.
Well, one thing I thought was interesting when he mentioned that and they mentioned granddaughter, I I don't know why I had always assumed that his kids had passed. If he, obviously he had kids if he has a granddaughter. And then he said, "Oh, well, I haven't had those kids yet." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "Oh, it's one of the things of being a Time Lord." So I was like,
Mhm.
"Is this going to be something we see in the future? Is him, having these children?" So I thought that was very interesting.
Well, you take a look at River Song. I mean, she is literally the daughter of time.
One of my favorite
So
episodes. Yeah,
you cannot go wrong. Alex Kington is. I don't think there's another actor that could have done that role any better.
she was
Honest to
perfect.
goodness. So as they're trying to figure out who Susan Triad is, when the doctor just jumps down the rabbit hole thinking that's his granddaughter, at the same time they're trying to figure out who Ruby is. They start explaining how everything is kind of time locked, deadlocked, and what's the big rule? No paradoxes, no nothing. We've broken that rule how many times?
I know, but you can't break it to go save Rory and Amy.
Yeah, but they were happy and they wrote themselves off literally in their own book.
Yeah, it was a good ending.
Oh,
But yeah, and actually we'll get into that a little bit when we talk about the lore that I looked up as to why maybe he can't always do some of these paradoxes and why he can get away with it sometimes and doesn't get away with it other times.
and I think because of the fact that they've explained that this part is so raw, it is like an open, festering wound on the fabric of
Open
time.
time womb. Yeah.
That's the best way I've been able to describe it. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, how can they kind of recreate this? What can they do? And then Ruby explains, oh, plot device, that there is a videotape from CCTV 20 years ago. Heck, TVs nowadays still aren't that good, but 20 years ago, you can only imagine what it was. So they go back to Ruby's house and we see her mom. And I love Cherry. Cherry is just like a great character, and there we go. There is Miss Susan, as we're talking about it, Susan Triad, who is going to bring revolutionized technology with freeware. I'm always down for freeware, all right? Because that's just me.
She's just a giver.
Corporate look, still about the anarchy. So she's about to release this freeware to everywhere to the world, and the doctor thinks this is bad. This is bad. The science dude says, "Oh my god, this is a trap, 86%," and it just keeps going up and up and up.
That little kid was a trip.
Dude.
Yeah.
I don't think he was a child actor. Like I do believe that the actor does have dwarfism. I didn't do my homework on it, but he's like great character, and I do have something to talk about that when we go back. But the doctor's like, okay, your unit. You don't always do what I tell you, so where's your time window?
She's like down 8 floors or something.
Yeah, like it's great. So Ruby heads home to see Cherry. They get the box out, they get the mementos and everything, and then the videotape. At the same time, Ruby says, "Hey, well, I'm going to go back to unit, and oh, by the way, this is Rose. Her mom works over at a unit, and so on and so forth." And I just love having Rose on. I think Rose is such a great character. But Cherry, being Cherry, is like, yeah, well, if her mom works there, I'm going too.
It's a very mom thing to say.
Like that's Mama Bear vibes right there. You would do that. Let's be honest. My kid
yeah.
Let's bring your mom to work day.
And then they weren't going to let her in, but they had no problem with Ruby just whoever comes out of the TARDIS, I guess, automatically has full clearance.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, because they're trusted by the doctor. But I love the fact that when they did eventually show up, he just takes a sonic, goes, gold level access. Why? Because you do. And don't forget, at any given time, yes, as much as Captain Lethbridge Stewart may be the commander of unit, technically in times of dire situations, the doctor becomes president of the world.
Right. I love that title. President of the world.
I think he can just pull rank and go gold level clearance.
Yeah, and then they just roll their eyes because, obviously he's breaking all the standard protocols of sure. But yeah, I mean, that's the benefit when you have president of the world in your title, which is something like a 5-year-old would give themselves.
That works. So before Terry and Ruby go off, they ask their next door neighbor, Miss Twist, to go in and to keep an eye on Mom. And this is great. She's like, oh, could you give me a cup of tea, love? I would absolutely love a nice fresh hot cuppa. She's like, sure, not a problem. No.
She's never going to get a proper cup of tea, is she?
Wow, it's like, seriously. And then on top of it, like, where the heck did this, like, full on, who was it in Happy Gilmore, who played the orderly.
Oh, Ben Stiller was the
Yeah, it was Ben
abusive
Stiller.
guy.
It was Ben
Yeah.
Stiller. Like, where the heck did this whole Ben Stiller, you're not getting everything, and then she turns into like, this, and then the skies came because he is coming, blah, 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 blah. I was like, I
Yeah,
was a little put off by this.
well, there's so many
Personally.
characters this season. It's like, who is this? We need to know. Like, she's clearly relevant.
And I think that's one thing I've liked about this is that we're getting so many red herrings. That's
Right, and
why
they're good about closing that loop. Like Doctor, it might be seasons though, because sometimes they don't like connect something for a while, but they are good about always answering it.
Yep, and I think that was really smart of them because with the liquidity, the wibbly wobbly timey wiminess of this episode of this season, you haven't gotten that full through line. Like, okay, we got the whole thing with Ruby, but that's it. Okay, we don't know where she's from. Great. Like, I know earlier, if anybody, who's come back, and thank you so very much for coming back and watching with us, especially right here in the chat. We've got Ken, absolutely. Let's go, Lauren. He's all about the Lauren. It's like, thanks, Tom. Okay, cool. I work hard too.
Thank you, Ken.
Here we go. We got one here. The doctor explained regeneration to Ruby. We can use it to change our face and hide ourselves away. Mrs. Flood said to Cherry 10 minutes later, I'm always hiding myself away. Very specific. That is something that I have thought about. I don't know if they're going to go somewhere with that. I have my feelings on that. Do you have a feeling who Mrs. Flood might be?
I really don't, but I didn't even put that together. But now I think maybe she's a Time Lord, and I do wonder. Like, there's got to be more Time Lords. It's like you always hear from that person who's the last of the race, and then you find out there's more of the race, and who knows how many kids he ends up having, and they're Time Lords. Like River was a Time Lord, so well, I mean, clearly it's
she was daughter of time adjacent.
She could regenerate
only once.
Right, but that wasn't because of how she was born, and this was a while ago. Wasn't that because she did something to like sacrifice herself so that she couldn't regenerate again to like save the doctor?
Something like
Someone
that.
might have to chime in. It's been a while since I watched that one.
There's so much stuff to be involved.
I know, I'm about due for a Doctor Who rewatch. It's been a while.
Yeah, I'll try and find a whole 30-minute, recap. Now,
Screen Crush is really good.
The doctor said, okay, where's your time window? They go in, and I just love how just like, oh, look at what the little humans did. Cobbled together this time window. And I felt seen, honest to goodness. Up until just a little while ago, me personally, I have cobbled together every single little piece of tech that I could get to make a setup here. And then I've just recently been fortunate, knock on wood, to purchase a new computer. So I completely can understand what unit was going through, plus government funding. So they put together this time window where they could see into a moment of time. And I was trying to understand how the time window worked versus just showing up there.
Because I think that they weren't supposed to be able to be seen or anything. It was almost like I'm trying to think of an example, like Scrooge, I guess, in A Christmas Carol. Like you can do whatever you can't do whatever you want because they weren't allowed to move, but like they can't see you. You're just rewatching the past is what it seemed like, but you're in there almost like a hologram. But then obviously it was more than that.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I liked about this is that they used the technology that they had, plus the fact of having the video, because good old VHS, which I love the fact that when you looked at it, it looked like it was still an old VHS. Like it was a little fuzzy, it was a little blurry. You could see the little magnet glitches. That was kind of fun. But rendered in beautiful 3D, it really felt great. And I think on top of it, the emotional baggage that Ruby and the doctor brought into the scenario amplified it that much more. Like they said, the TARDIS looked solid as opposed to everything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they made note of that. I did think it was funny though with the VHS because one of the things I've, said this season is God, Ruby's so young. She's younger than my daughter. So I'm like, this is a very young companion. Obviously, I've felt different about Rose because I was younger when Rose showed up. And then it was funny when they're like, oh, that's only 19 years ago. That there's still cameras up there. Like that wasn't that long ago that she was born. So I thought that it was funny that it made it relevant as to how young she is. Because it was still an old VHS, but it was recent enough that there was cameras everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So they made her age relevant for me.
Then next off, we see in the background here, plus Mel, hello, Mel coming back after the anniversary special with when Jodie switched into Tennant again, from 13 to 14. That was awesome, bringing back the Legend of Tom and Lauren Sunday. I wonder who that could be. Matthew? No.
Dr. Tom and Lauren Sunday.
No, I am no doctor, but I play one on TV. But yeah, so as things are going, they figure out how to use this whole time window, and everything starts becoming solid, and they're trying to understand the nature of the situation. Ruby and the doctor stay in one spot, and one of the officers is trying to figure out where stuff's going. You see the cloaked figure. Things just didn't seem exactly as they were on the video or through his circumstance. He walks behind the TARDIS, and then
he's no more.
Yeah, ashes, like literal ashes in beautiful molded fashion. Like that was kind of cool. So what the heck is going on? I was really interested on where they were going with that.
I really liked that scene too, because there was a lot of emotions, and like obviously they very much so trust the doctor, but the doctor is still somebody who has lived for over 1,000 years and can regenerate, and
1,000,
but well over 1,000.
Keep going.
Well, I know in that one episode he was there for like 1,000 years, and just in that one episode, but I don't think, while he does view all life as precious, and we obviously saw that in Rogue, and we see that multiple times, but it's still, I feel like humanity's still a little bit different to him, and he sometimes forgets how fragile we are. And Kate almost looked mad at him. Like, you shouldn't have pushed him. And I thought it was such a good scene because it was such like raw emotion on behalf of both of them, because he's really just so determined, and he incidentally sacrificed this guy in a way, and she was devastated by that. It was a guy under her watch, under her control. So I thought that was a great scene.
So they decide, okay, well, let's go do this, let's go do that. Damn.
What was that? Oh.
Sorry, we're about to get hit with a thunderstorm up where I'm
at. Is your TARDIS making funny noises?
No, my TARDIS is not making funny noises. It did make funny noises in that episode because, there was something going on, and which makes you think, was that noise in Rogue from him, or was it from the reveal at the end?
I think it was the reveal at the end.
I think so. So they decide, okay, we can't figure out what's going on with Ruby, so let's go figure out this whole thing with Susan Triad. So the doctor goes to visit Susan, and we get this whole handshake thing. And the whole time as it's going on, Ruby's saying, well, what if you see your daughter or your granddaughter or whatnot? Are you going to recognize them? And he says, yeah, you kind of do.
Recognize the eyes.
But he shakes Susan's hand and nothing.
No.
And I got to give Ncuti his propers on this one, because he was concerned and he was upset at the same time. And to see an actor portray that takes some nays. Like that is a very hard place to come from.
Mm-hmm.
And it just asks me, well, have you had bad dreams? Have you had nightmares? And all of a sudden it just clicks in Susan's head.
Yeah. Well, he starts spouting out her dreams, her nightmares. Yeah.
She gets out on stage, starts doing her presentation, and then goes full on squirrel moment and just starts getting all into her emotions about, all these nightmares she's had, who she's been, and this, that, and the other thing. At the same time, Rose is they're trying to figure out what is going on with the TARDIS, because there's some weird magnetic, they had to put it through a filter in the time window to figure out what is going on. What is this thing? They bring the TARDIS back up to the command center. There's two parallel storylines going on, but the best part is that Susan starts going off about this, that, and the other thing, and they're coming, he's coming, and so on and so forth. And then our new chief of, the archive chief starts spouting off too at almost the same exact time with Susan. And then the doctor says, hey, by the way, what's the name of that girl you hired? Oh, Harriet Arbinger. You mean Harbinger? And it goes completely off the rails. You know, we find out exactly that it is not Susan is the bad guy, you know, the main antagonist. It's not Harry that's the bad guy. It's was something around the TARDIS that latched onto the TARDIS. And as they're going off, they start talking about all the different members of the Pantheon, the trickster, and then the maestro, the toy maker, and so on and so forth. And then we finally find out, the doctor figures out, we're looking at the wrong anagram.
I love that it was still an anagram, though. I thought that was hilarious. It's like, because he can never be completely wrong. He's not allowed to be completely wrong. He's always going to be a little bit right.
Was it an anagram when you take away so many letters?
No, I didn't think. I mean, it was sometimes you just see things that you want to see.
I'm sorry, you know, I don't think it was an anagram because you took away so many letters. Okay, the letters are in there. That's like playing that, you know, that word game where you get the, you know, how many words can you make out of one really big word? No. Anagram is literally the same letters mixed around.
Right, just mixed up. Yeah.
That's all. I'm sitting on my TARDIS soapbox, and that's what I'm going to say about that. So we find out that it is Seth.
Sutek.
Thank you. Sorry, I rented lips tonight. And
well,
Sutek.
And I only remember because Sutek. So they obviously have a little play on words there.
Mm-hmm. So it's Sutek and this big, huge Anubis-looking monster. Sorry, I don't have a picture for this because, again, I play fair and use exactly what Disney gives me because, you know, thank you to our corporate gods. So it is Sutek. All hail the mouse and their money. So we finish off and you get the ... The to be continued.
That killed me.
I loved it. Like, I'm just raring to go. And to finally get an episode this season that's a cliffhanger that just makes you go, I'm in. I'm down. This is back to good old Doctor Who storytelling. And speaking of which, have you seen, there was another website who we will not name because we respect everybody for what they do and what they put out there. Have you seen that they put out an opinion piece, an editorial saying that, oh, well, the new Doctor Who is just a reboot of the first season?
No, I have not seen that. I don't ever try to pay attention to all that stuff, which I mean, obviously you're going to have a lot of stuff repeated. It's the same person.
It's
the same. I mean, how many
years? I mean,
right. How many storylines can you do? But I think back to the stories in season 1. I mean, granted, it's been a while since I've watched it, but they're two completely different doctors, different companions, different. I mean, hell, we haven't even seen a Dalek.
And not only to mention, the BBC literally rebranded this as season 1.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
I think they bifurcated right there.
I think it's so they get new viewership. I think that's the ultimate goal. It's like on Disney Plus now, so we're going to treat it as a new show so people feel comfortable coming in now rather than being like, I can't jump in on season 13.
Yep. And that's okay. That's fine. So I really wanted to make a retort, but I don't want to, pee in somebody's Cheerios. So, or wait, they're British. Pee in their Ribena.
And their what?
Ribena.
I don't even know what that is.
Shall I connoisseur real quick?
Go for it.
Ribena is a currant-based juice that they use. It's been very popular since World War II, and it's a concentrate that you buy in a bottle, very nice, and you make beverages with it, whether it's for little kids or you give to them after medicine or so on and so forth. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. So, Ribena.
Something else I learned tonight. Had no idea.
It's what I do.
I love it.
So, go ahead.
No, you're good.
So let's talk about our thoughts and theories from this episode. All right. So we're going to do that button and then that button because I'm still learning how to do this. That is the wrong button. But
I like that button.
I know you like that button. There we go. We'll show it one more time.
And if any Supernatural fans, you see Baby down at the bottom. That's my Power Rangers is Supernatural.
There you go. Well, I'm driving, so shut your pie hole.
It's Keiko.
I like pie.
So does
All right.
Dean, but he still says Keiko. Okay.
So, thoughts and theories on this one. First things first, and this is going to sound really stupid. I like to call this one 15 and still can't drive.
Oh, because he slammed. I know he's because he rides the brakes. River even told him.
Well, not only that, but I'm sorry, the TARDIS is supposed to materialize in places, not fly into unit like that.
It was a pretty cool scene. I did actually enjoy it. But for one, he usually lands on they have like a TARDIS docking facility, don't they? The Winchesters can beat anyone. I don't want to spoil the last season since Matt hasn't seen it, but that was proof that they can beat anyone.
No.
Yes.
No. Oh, I'm in Ireland, and you just locked a great night. I shall be having Red Beat it tomorrow because, well, cheers to you, my friend. Don't worry, I won't visit it.
Now I gotta look. Can I buy this at Target?
You can Amazon it.
Okay, I will have to take a look.
If you like black currant, it's a very specific flavor.
I like it in beer.
Okay, fair enough. So I'm sorry, but what is the deal? He's 15. He should know how to at least steer the TARDIS. Like I don't know who made the choice that he just whips the whip literally into places. I mean, we've already broken Cherry's kitchen. We've come driving right down through the center of the command center. I'm just saying.
I mean, sometimes the TARDIS has a mind of its own, but I feel like if they're going to unit and they were expecting him, then yeah, I guess it should have materialized. Or maybe he was already in that time zone, so he didn't materialize it. He was just flying it in. But either way, yeah, he should know how to fly it.
No, and this is where it goes back to the thing where I've said, and I'll say it again in next week's episode. This is where they're wasting money on effects and not giving me more episodes.
It did look pretty sweet, though.
That is my off-the-cuff opinion right there.
That's fair.
Now let's go to the next one. A useless twist, The Neighbor.
Okay. Until it pays off.
Right? I think the whole thing with Miss Twist next door was just absolutely pointless. The whole time. Now I get it as a red herring looking back, cool, but was that scene really necessary? That you had to have her being all doom and gloom in front of Ruby's very superstitious grandmother.
Yeah. I didn't hate that just because I feel like that's going to pay off. Now, if it ends up not paying off, then if when I rewatch it, I'll be like, well, this is pointless. But so far, I'm okay with that. So far, I'm just intrigued with the neighbor, especially because they made her mysterious immediately.
Oh, yeah. What? Have you never heard of a TARDIS?
Right. Exactly. No. Well, how have you heard of a TARDIS? So clearly, she's seen some stuff.
Exactly. Now, this goes back. Now, I want to talk about Una real quick before we get to Forbidden Tech. Somebody in casting needs to stop knock the shit off. Okay? Stop giving me new characters in Unit to fall in love with. Like, seriously, every time we go back to Unit, there is somebody new, and I'm like, I love you. You're fantastic. You're a great character. I want to see you come back. And then, dead. Or evil.
Or evil.
Just give me somebody to look forward to come back to. Don't get me wrong. I'm all about Catherine Lethbridge Stewart.
Same.
Just boom. But
now we got Rose. I think they'll keep Rose consistent. And I love that connects us to Donna, again, connecting us to past episodes.
Yep, and I love the fact that, the previous companions all have jobs. I would have loved to get a nod to see what Graham and Ace are doing.
What about Mickey and Martha? Because they were working, I think, for Torchwood. They were doing something together.
Mickey, last time I remember, he went back through the window, came back, and then married Martha. And I just think they just kind of happily ever aftered them.
But they were like in the trenches doing stuff. So they're still doing stuff. They're still saving the world.
But Torchwood was kind of abandoned at one point. So,
yeah.
I mean, we don't have the Osterhaven key anymore. So there's a deep cut right there to remember that damn name. Okay, so Forbidden Tech. I love the fact that Unit is still kind of breaking the rules. I mean, we've got the new time window. new old time window. You had all that stuff that was downstairs years ago with, the button, if you remember that, where they made the two duplicates of the one young lady who was totally fangirling. Again, another character, because Unit needs to just hire everybody. So I like the fact that Unit really does toe the line ish. Like they've learned from the doctors, like, oh, we can do this. Oh, we cannot do that. So that was enjoyable. And then I put it up there. There's anagrams, and then there's anagrams.
And then there's not anagrams.
Exactly. This was a proper anagram. I'm sorry. Oh, let's try it. Susan. Okay, TARDIS. Sutek. No, that is. Hey, let's take away all the words. Like you're going for the big word in Scrabble, and then you realize you can't put the Z on the triple letter. So you're like, oh, well, let's just take everything off until something fits.
And you get less points.
Exactly. I thought that was a cheap out. Just me. And then we have more of the Pantheon was mentioned again, back to Trickster, Maestro, Toymaker, and then I believe they mentioned another one as well. And then we get to Sutek. Now, I put up here that it says once off returns. Not really. And because we've been doing this fantastic stuff with the lovely folks over at the Hops Geek, and Lauren does the beautiful downloads, give me some download here on Sutek.
So, Sutek was actually a powerful Osiren, or an ancient Egyptian god, who led the Pantheon of Discord, what we were just talking about, and wanted to destroy all life in the universe, much like he actually proclaimed in this episode. So he feared anything that may challenge him. So instead of, worrying about that, he decides he's just going to destroy all living things, so he doesn't have to worry about that. He believed his acts of destruction freed those he killed from tyranny of hope and choice, instead delivering them with the certainty of death. So the Pantheon of Discord included a group who wants to alter reality and basically cause chaos. Members of said group include, but are not limited to, the Toymaker, who we've seen this season, the Trickster, and Maestro, who we've seen this season. Yes, so we were just talking about all them. So we're coming full circle, which I love. And Russell T. Davies did mention that we would be getting more gods. So, back in 1951, the Trickster actually made an attempt to change history and allowed the Pantheon to enter the universe when he successfully convinced one Sarah Jane Smith to save her parents from dying in a car crash. Anybody who got into Doctor Who in 2005 and beyond, you got to know Sarah Jane with 10. And this allowed the Pantheon to enter the world through a weak point on the web of time and suck the life out of Earth, devastating the planet and killing all but a few humans. This timeline was fortunately averted because her parents realized what them staying alive could do to everyone's survival, so they chose to die willingly. Now, this was actually occurred in her spin-off, Sarah Jane Adventures, which was sadly canceled when the actress passed away. I never sat down and watched this, but my oldest did, and she loved it. But there was a lot of story that they were still going to tell that they didn't get to, that I think we might start seeing now.
It could be an easy way to come back to it and finish out some stories, yeah.
Yeah. So side note, Ruby trying to find who her mom was may not have been the best plan, because this might have messed with the web of time with this little time window. So back to Sutek specifically. So Sutek first appeared in the Who universe with Sarah Jane and the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, in 1975.
Scarf.
It was a 4-part story called Pyramid of Mars. That's how I remember every Doctor's like, which one had the scarf? Which one had this? Which one had that?
Who had the celery?
And look, now he's in a different outfit every time. It's so funny. Okay, so this was called Pyramid of Mars. So this 4-part story took place in 1911. Sutek had previously been trapped by his brother Horus. So this is going back to like real Egyptian mythology. And because he wanted to destroy everything. So Horus didn't want him to do that either. So Sutek was trapped by a beam from Mars, hence Pyramids of Mars, because there was pyramids on Mars trapping him. He was released in 1911, and the fourth Doctor was able to defeat him by sticking him in like this time corridor. And because he had this thing where he went back and forth through time, so the Doctor put him in it, but put like his destination so far in the future that he should have died of old age by the time he got there, even though he could live for so long. Or so he thought. Clearly that did not happen, and he has been hiding in the Howling Void since. That was mentioned in this episode. If you don't remember the Howling Void, Ten and Rose actually sent some Daleks and Cybermen into said void a while back. That is the last time we saw Sutek on screen, so it has been a couple years short of half of a century since this villain showed up on the screen. However, it's obviously been way longer for the Doctor. Sutekh is in the comics.
Thank you.
I'm not going to get into that because that's too much timey-wimey, wibbly wobbly. One last mention, the sound Sutekh made the TARDIS make has actually been happening since 14 and Donna met their creepy doppelgangers. So that seemed to be the first episode that a lot of this started to come about. So dun dun dun. And I always like to cite my sources. So shout out to the YouTube channel Who Culture and to Wiki TARDIS, as I have not actually watched
Who Culture. Speaking of which, if you are a fan of Who Culture, definitely check out their Trek Culture. I love you, Sean. You're fantastic. Thank you very much.
There you go. And that's my Sutekh school.
Sutekh school is now in session. Please make sure to pick up your pyramids and take them home with you.
And do not turn your beams on until it is safe to do so.
Exactly. And thank you so much. That's fantastic. So kudos to Lauren on that. I love the download. I'm going to have you on more often just to do it. Busy weekend. So I think this is a great idea. Now, this is where Lauren and I are going to disagree. Okay? Lauren, what is your theory on Ruby Sunday and her mom?
I honestly have no idea. So when I was thinking about it, I'm like, my idea came completely out of left field. Do I actually think this is going to happen? No, I really don't. But I think it'd be a lot of fun and really cool. So the way that they're building this, Ruby Sunday's mom has to be somebody. She can't just be a nobody. And they can't pretend like she's a nobody and then say she's Palpatine's granddaughter. They have to say that she is somebody. I do think she might be a Time Lord. And so what I think would be really fun, again, I don't think this is true, but I think it would be really fun, is if Missy was her mom. Because the last we saw Missy, she started to really not be such a terrible person. She wasn't really the master so much. She was
Missy.
Yeah, she was Missy. And I also love Michelle. What's her last name? Gomez? Hernan. Okay. I absolutely love her. Love her in Doom Patrol. Love her in Doctor Who. And it'd be really cool if, she happened to have a kid but she was like, oh, I'm too evil to carry on with the child. So I'm going to leave this child here. And she saw a TARDIS. The person knows what a TARDIS is. They weren't surprised to see a TARDIS. There's some kind of sensing of it. And I truly do believe whoever gave up Ruby did not want to, because you even say she stopped and she's emotional. And so, I can't imagine giving up a child is easy for anybody, but I truly feel that this person did this because they felt they had no other choice.
So I'm going to disagree with you, and I'm going to stick with my theory that I've had since the beginning. And just because, ladies and gentlemen, we have different opinions on here, I'm not going to, you're wrong, I'm right. That is what
I'm probably wrong.
But that's the beautiful thing about Nerd Initiative. It's the home of pop culture positivity. And we're open to everybody, to all your ears. The only gate we keep is open. But my theory, I think that Ruby Sunday, is a daughter of the Pantheon. Now, you said Osiris, all right? Now, I'm even going to swivel from this because I did a little homework myself. But if Osiris was a benevolent god, as Sutekh was an evil god, I do believe that possibly Ruby is a good side of the Pantheon. If we have the Pantheon of Discord, we've got to have a Pantheon of Hope or something. In DC, we do have the Lords of Chaos and Order, right? Hawk and Dove and so on and so forth, Dr. Fate. So I really do think that there's an opposite side, a yin to the yang of the Pantheon of Discord. And I think that Ruby is from that side, who's supposed to clear up and fix everything. That's my idea.
I think bringing in the Egyptian mythology is definitely a lot of fun. And I know, and again, I haven't watched old Who, but I know that they have done more stuff, because when you Google some of the villains and whatnot of Doctor Who, is straight up cheating. They mentioned Ragnarok and stuff, and so that's a very common thing. Look, Marvel does it. They all do it, taking this mythology. They're some of the oldest fantasy stories, and so I think that's a really cool spin to kind of twist it all into this Egyptian mythology. And we're getting so much Egyptian mythology lately. It's fun.
It's fantastic, and it's really nice. I think we've gone down the gambit really with Norse mythology between Marvel, God of War. How many other countless video game franchises? It's time to let somebody else shine. And let's even look at Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed, over the whole span of their lifetime, they have done so many different period pieces. Okay, I get it. But if general media starts moving around, I think it's nice. It's an inclusion, for a worldwide inclusion, that doesn't seem forced. Like they'll throw
Mhm.
a character in a TV show for certain reasons, like, oh, we got to hit all the check marks. Oh, we need this, we need that.
No, it happens. It
It's
it
just a
makes
thing.
sense. It's fluid. It's natural.
Hmm.
And
So,
another show that does that great with gods is Supernatural.
oh yeah, Supernatural, for lack of better words, American Gods did such an amazing.
Oh my gosh. I've read the book, watched season 1, and I can't find 2 and 3, so I don't get to finish the show. I don't know where it is. It's just not there anymore. But yeah,
Stuff.
that's a fantastic book.
It's on Stars.
I could
Check
only
it out.
find season 1 on Stars.
Really?
Yeah, I got to try again. It's been a few months,
Seriously.
but
Okay,
yeah.
so let's get into it. We've got our scores. So here we go. Starting off, I'm going to give this, honest to goodness, a 14 out of 15. Okay? Hear me out, ladies and gentlemen. There have been so many great things with this episode. Yeah, I couldn't give it the full 15 out of 15, only for the fact that the hiccup with Susan Twist, the weirdness that we've got two parallel storylines and they're not getting equal level, or we didn't resolve A before we went to B. That's where my thing was with this. And then you give me a cliffhanger in that particular way. You drop the name Susan. You hit these really hard, deep cuts. I'm in, I'm down. It's a 14 out of 15. Right now, this is the top episode I've had all season. Rogue was great. Don't get me wrong. Matt made it a whole lot better chatting with him, but this is the 14 out of 15. And then, Lauren, do you think?
Okay, I am going to have to defend my score because I did give it a low score. However, I am viewing this score as fluid because we didn't get a full episode. We got half of an episode. So I did not realize they were cutting it in half. I probably should have realized that beforehand. So when I was watching it, I was at the peak of my like, all right, let's go. And then the to be continued, I was like, what? So now that it's on Disney Plus and they don't have to squeeze it into these specific time slots, I would have rather had an extended finale to be able to enjoy it all at once. Now, I should say I didn't get into Doctor Who until later, so like binging a lot of it, I found that very enjoyable. So I'm solely giving it a 10 out of 5 because I did not like how it cut off right there. I genuinely loved all of the nods to the past. I loved seeing Rose. I loved seeing Mel. I loved seeing Kate. I loved all of that. Um, I thought it was, I really want to know who Ruby's mom is. I really, really want to know that. I think it's interesting what they're doing with the snow. Maybe that's another kind of Time Lord thing. I don't know. It's definitely not a human thing. Maybe it's an Egyptian thing. Maybe it's a Norse mythology thing. I mean, they don't have snow in Egypt. They have snow in Norway. Maybe they'll bring in a different god. I have no idea. Clearly I have no idea. But that is why I rated it so low. So next week, after the finale, because we're all joining you, I may have to go back and fix this score. So we shall see. But the to be continued was just a punch to the gut, man. I was like in full Doctor Who mode, and then I was like, and it's done.
There's nothing wrong with that. I can't say that there's really a bad thing there. Now, having everything said and done, what do you think? What would you like to see in the next episode?
Ooh, that's always hard because that's like you want fan service, but not too much because the best shows aren't going to give you everything you want, except Spider-Man No Way Home did. Um, I want to know who Ruby's mom is, but I'm okay if there's still some mystery shredded in it. So I want more answers, but I don't need all the answers yet. I'd like to have an idea of the neighbor, some more of like what the neighbor's going on or what is going on with the neighbor. I'm hoping that Sutek isn't a full quick again. I mean, they waited 48 years to bring this villain back. I'm hoping he lasts a little longer than just, these last 2 episodes. But I really need to know who Ruby's mom is. I've wanted to know since Christmas. So that is what I'm hoping we find out next week. But again, don't give me everything all at once.
For me, I really want to see a resolution to this whole Susan business. I want to make sure that, Ruby's grandma is okay. And I'd rather, look, they're going to finish off the Doctor and Ruby. That's not a problem. We know that because one, Melly Gibson has confirmed that she will be in the next season. And that the whole idea that she is leaving was still kind of up in the air. But there has been confirmation that she will be in next season. So we can get something to go through. If they're going to have her go through with this, I definitely want to make sure there's a resolution, unlike Clara and the girl, through time. because that was drug out way too long.
Yeah. Your audio is being a little fuzzy.
I can't help it. It's weather.
Maybe it's the TARDIS.
I don't know. Someone get my Sonic. My Sonic.
Yeah, I just want Ruby's grandma to get a hot cup of fresh tea. That's what I really want.
Get that distance happening. Come on.
I mean, look at David Tennant even said, like, a hot cup of tea can fix anything. Like, the doctor should come bring her a nice hot cup of tea. It fixed the TARDIS, didn't it? Didn't a cup of tea fix the TARDIS one time? Or did it break it?
A cup of coffee ruined it, thanks, Donna.
Right, but back in 10, not 14, I swear a cup of tea fixed it at one point. Maybe I made that up.
So, wrapping up, this has been a fantastic episode for me. Lauren, a bit of disappointment because she doesn't like having a carrot dangled in front of her face.
Nope.
That's okay. But having that said, I cannot wait to have you and Matt and Nikki and any of the other members out there in NI Bullpen come back next week. My screen is going to be full of little tiny screens with everybody. So everybody is welcome back. And I really hope to see everybody in the chat next week as we all do the finale. So we're going to have at least, 4 commentators. I haven't loved this season. It's been sadly, but specifically the running part of Ruby and Susan's spot has kept me hooked. This episode for me was a 13 out of 15.
There you go. Enjoyed this one more than me. And I have been enjoying this season, but
Ken is saying that my audio sounds right now that I should just say exterminate, because it sounds that bad. Fine. Maybe I'll wear these headphones tomorrow night on your show.
Sounds like you're trying to destroy us all.
That's all right. Having that said, let's do the homework real quick. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, when you're here on Nerd Initiative, we always got to remind you to, real quick, make sure to subscribe. When you're done with that, exterminate the bell for notifications and tap that thumbs up because we really want to make sure, the bosses know that we're doing a good job and you want more content. Trust me, our YouTube channel right now is blowing up, or I can exterminate the viewers and followership. And we're so happy to have
you. Doctor! Can you do that?
Doctor! Exterminate! Time Lord detected! Someone give me a jamming doctor and we'll fake it like a button. We're having a great time here on YouTube. We want to have you back. There's so much content coming out right now, almost on the daily.
Always.
And we want you to come back. Lauren's doing an amazing job about The Boys, the show that I've still never watched.
Oh my gosh, you're crazy. It's so good.
I know. I got the things. All right? But on top of that, we got to make sure to give our props to everybody that's out there. So first and foremost, make sure not only are you subscribing, you're making sure that you hit that, QR code right there. Subscribe to the YouTube. And with con season right now, I sadly am coming up Lauren's beautiful face right there. But either way. Make sure that you get your merch because con season's coming up. You can wear your nerd on your sleeve or on your hat or on your coffee cup. Wow, I am really getting feedback now, hearing my own voice. It does sound like shit. Anyhow, also check out the website, and with everything else going on, Wrestling Night Live on Thursdays, dropping in from the top road. Tomorrow night, Tournament, we have a very special guest on to New Comic Book Day. Lauren, how many reviews are you doing this week?
I just got 2 this week. Black Panther Blood Hunt #2, and then I have Helen of Windenhorn, which is issue 3 from Dark Horse. So I just combined 2 comic books. Dark Horse, and it's really good. #3 is really where that issue or that comic has picked up. It's a lot of fun.
For me personally, I'm taking this break. I am not doing Power Rangers this week. So that's going to be fun to give a different take. I'm doing Masters of the Universe again, picking out of a wheelhouse with my Tim Sheridan writing. Again, you can come back here, make sure you follow us, the TV talk. We've got tournament page. We've got all the stuff. Because, here at Nerd Show, we love our QR codes. But the one that's most important tonight, aside from mine, because it's only going to be for 2 seconds, is make sure that you follow everybody here at Hops Geek News. Now that we've had the 2 most wonderful hosts of Hops Geek News, the only 2. But Lauren, make sure to tell them everything about Hops Geek News and do the thing.
Yes, we are a geek/pop culture podcast that discusses a new topic each week over a craft beer. Our past episode, we actually had Tom on, and we talked about when did pop culture become geek culture. We kick off every episode talking about our beer, talking about recent news, and what comic books we've been reviewing or watching, just to give you kind of recommendations. And the week before that, we recap The Boys seasons 1 through 3 and Gen V. And next week, we are actually going to be doing a 30th anniversary special for the best movie ever, The Lion King, which I still can't believe is 30 years old. You can find us everywhere at Hops Geek News on the TikTok, the Twitter, the Instagram, the Facebook, the YouTube, all of it. And that's where you can find us.
And because General Lissimo says so, you got to subscribe to Hops Geek News ASAP. Absolutely. Lauren, I can't tell you how fun it was to have you on here tonight. I cannot wait to do this again with you at some point, whether it's talking Doctor Who, whether it's talking anything else. I definitely want to come back for we follow up on this whole geek culture become pop culture.
Oh, yeah. We could have gone on forever.
Seriously, I think we definitely hit the nail on the head. And as I always like to say, and again, thank you, Lauren, to you. I cannot wait to see what reviews you got coming out this week, all the episodes. When you do the Lion King, just make sure to give me a call. I'll go, so I'll be more than happy to. And on that note, thank you again. And then to everybody else out there on Cyberlink, my name is Ncuti Gatwa, and always, as I used to say, be excellent to each other.